Alright, you guys, so I thought I would make a video that would be helpful to some of you who might not understand what's been going on in Tom Sawyer. Right now, my plan is to read only the first 10 chapters. Then we're going to be switching over to the horror unit. I think you're going to enjoy that one a lot more. I was hoping that a lot of you would enjoy the adventure and, kind of just getting into a character that's your age and how different his adventures are than yours. I'm going to do a survey after Halloween. Who wants to come back to Tom Sawyer and who would like to do something else? So please be honest at that time. I just because I love Tom Sawyer doesn't mean that you are going to. Okay, I realize that. I know that. So when I give you that survey after Halloween and we have dug into the blood and the horror and all that fun stuff, you may not want to come back to Tom Sawyer. So when I ask you that, please let me know if you do not want to keep going with Tom Sawyer. What I wanted to do with this video was to kind of go over some of the main things that have been happening since chapter 1. If you need help with anything, I have tutoring today, tomorrow and Friday at 3:15. Once you guys go to Google Classroom, there's going to be a link for tutoring. You just click on that and I'll let you in the Zoom call. At that time, when you guys are in, I'm going to show you how to sign up for tutoring, but all you have to do is show up and I will show you how to do it. So that's an option for you also. If you're missing a lot of assignments, please come to tutoring. I've been sending a lot of you your list of missing assignments, and I've also been contacting parents about missing narratives. If you are severely behind, don't think that I'm judging you, but what I can do is offer you an assignment that is worth 100 points. And if you do this assignment instead, you don't have to do your missing assignments except for Tom Sawyer. Okay, so if you want to have that option, feel free to email me and I will get you that. It's a snowflake project where it comes with questions and critical thinking, but then you don't have to feel like you're so far behind, so that's an option for you as well. Okay, so I'm going to give you a summary of what I think are the most important parts of Tom Sawyer. You're welcome to take notes as I'm talking. I would recommend you always take notes when I'm talking or when your teachers are talking. I know a lot of you have Mr. L for history and he has his videos. I would highly recommend that you take notes while he is talking also. Or any teacher really, not just him. Okay, so what I want to start with is Mark Twain is writing about his childhood. But I think as an author or at this time, he may have thought, I don't want people to know what my childhood was like. Or if he didn't feel that way, it was, um, what if people think of me as, just this adventure person or something like that. So what an author can do is they can create a character, and that character can reveal what you want to reveal, but it makes it a little bit more hidden. Because yes, the words came from you, but it's not, it's not Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens writing about his childhood. It is in a way, but it's also he created this character of Tom Sawyer to do it for him. So there must have been a reason why he didn't want the main character to be named, Samuel. He decided to make a character that could do that for him. That's kind of a great way that an author can kind of live a life through someone else. It's very literary. So what I want to do is start with chapter 1. Okay, so you are introduced to Tom Sawyer. We learn that he lives in this little town in Mississippi, and um, I think it's Florida, Mississippi, unless I'm confused. You guys can correct me. But he lives in this little town And we quickly find out that his parents have passed away. We're never told what happens to his parents. We're never given that information. But what we are given is something very cinematic where, the door opens, Tom Sawyer is on the run, and he is out. He wants to have an adventure, and Aunt Polly tries to catch him, and she can't. And he's out doing his adventures, only to find him eating jam. She doesn't know where he is, but she finds him eating jam in the closet. He knows what he's supposed to do and what he's not supposed to do, and he lives off doing what he doesn't is not supposed to do, because that's always more fun, right? What you're not supposed to do is always more fun than what you're supposed to do. Such as you guys might want to be, at the mall right now, or you might want to be, getting some food, or, shopping or something. But right now you're listening to the video, right? Because this is what you're supposed to do. So he kind of thinks like you. He's the same age as you. And Aunt Polly catches him eating jam, and she can barely catch him. He tells her, look over there. And she does, because she's so used to being kind of under his finger. He realizes he can get Aunt Polly to pretty much do anything he wants. So she can't catch him. He's out the door, and here he goes, and he meets Jim. And Jim is like, well, I'm smarter than you. Nuh-uh, no you're not. I'm just gonna get in a fight with you. So these guys, they're bored, right? They're bored. There's not a lot to do. This is not, 2020. This is late 1800s, probably early 1800s is what he was writing about. Your adventure was what you made it. Your adventure was, even I grew up in a very small town. It was kind of like we had a Walmart, a library, we had our friends on the street. And it was sort of like, well, go ahead and go make your own adventure, because there's nothing really to entertain you unless you can entertain yourself. So that's what they're doing. They're going out, and he sees Jim. He starts to mess with Jim. They're going to make their own adventure, their own fun, and they end up in a fight. And Tom comes home and makes Aunt Polly so upset because his clothes are all messed up, all muddy, and have mud all over him. He ruined his clothes. Now she's going to have to scrub them. And he's not going to throw the clothes in a washing machine. She's going to have to, do it the old-fashioned way and make it, it's hard to get mud out of clothes. Especially if you can't afford to buy new clothes all the time. She probably had to make the clothing. And to have to have him come home with mud all over his clothes was probably a big deal. So he comes home with mud on him. She's upset, and she tells him, you are going to paint the fence tomorrow. Be prepared to work. Okay, so chapter 2, he wakes up. She gives him all of the paint supplies. And she tells him, go paint the fence. And he says, all right, I'll paint the fence. It's Saturday. I'd rather be having adventures. I'd rather be doing what I want. But now you're making me paint this fence. So here comes Jim, and he's like, well, Jim, would you paint the fence for me? And Jim says, no, I don't want to spend my Saturday painting a fence. So Tom Sawyer goes back, and he's painting the fence, and he's, the white brush is, going up and down on the fence. And he's thinking, man, if I could do anything today but paint this fence. So then he thinks to himself, what can I do to convince someone that painting the fence is a special thing, right? So even though Tom Sawyer is probably not highly educated, he's actually incredibly smart. He doesn't have very strong arguments because he uses logical fallacies, but he's actually incredibly intelligent. And so he looks around and he finds Ben Rogers and all the boys are hanging around. And he says, hey, I'm going to ignore Ben Rogers and pretend like I don't see him. So then Ben starts impersonating a steamboat. And he starts acting like he doesn't even know that Ben Rogers is standing there, even though he knows that Ben Rogers is standing there. He goes, "Ship up to Beck." He's trying to act like a steamboat. And Ben goes, "Hey, what are you doing there?" Says, "Oh, I'm just enjoying painting this fence here that Aunt Polly is having me do. I'm really loving this. I'm really enjoying this fence. Really enjoying painting this fence." Inside, he's secretly thinking, "Man, I wish he would just paint the fence for me so I could go do what I want to do today." So he acts like he's enjoying it, and Ben says, "Well, why don't you let me try painting the fence?" And the Tom Sawyer goes, "No, no. You don't. Aunt Polly only wants the best painters to paint the fence. I don't know if you're the best person to paint the fence." And Ben goes, "Oh, no, no, I am. I'm the best person to paint this fence." And Tom goes, "Well, I don't know. I guess I could let you try it." So this is all a trick. Obviously Ben gets to paint the fence, and Tom Sawyer gets what he wants, which is to enjoy his Saturday. And he gets the whole group of boys to paint the fence. He says, "Well, if I give you all of these toys, will you let me paint the fence?" And so Tom Sawyer not only gets what he wants, he also gets all of the toys from the boys on the block who get to try to paint the fence. So he got what he wanted. In multiple ways he got what he wanted, using his tricks and his schemes, just like he uses on Aunt Polly. Okay, chapter 3 is going to be about how Aunt Polly goes out to look at the fence. And she's like, "No, it wasn't you, was it? I can't believe you actually finished it." And Tom's like, "Oh, yeah, it was me. It was me. I promise it was me." And so she's like, "Wow, see what happens when you actually work?" Uh-huh. So she gives him an apple. She says, "Good job." And he turns around and steals a donut from her and chucks mud at Sid. And when he is on his way out the door, he steals a donut. And when he's out in the square, out in the public, he is playing soldiers with his buddies, and he notices Becky Thatcher. This is a big Becky Thatcher chapter 3. He immediately forgets about Amy, and he goes and he picks up the flower that she drops. Remember, it's a pansy. That's on your bingo card. He hangs around her house. He tries to get her attention by just laying there. It doesn't work though. She never comes out again. But he just hopes that she's watching him. He's in love. He's infatuated. He knows that he wants Becky Thatcher now and not Amy Lawrence, and she's gonna be so heartbroken. So after it gets dark, generally back in the old days when it got dark, that was your kind of, hint that it was time to go home. And I have about another minute and a half, so this might be a couple of videos, guys. Okay, so she goes home. I'm sorry, Tom Sawyer goes home, doesn't get her attention, and he goes home, and Aunt Polly says, "Why did you chuck mud at Sid this morning and steal sugar from the sugar bowl?" Tom tries to deny it, and then Sid accidentally knocks over the sugar bowl, but Aunt Polly blames him instead. Mary comes back. Mary is Tom's cousin. She comes back from the country. Let's see. Okay, so then after dinner, after Mary comes back, it looks like he goes and tries to visit with Becky Thatcher again, but that doesn't work out either. He's doing everything he can to get her attention, but it's not working out. Alright, so let's go to chapter 4. You guys are going to have to listen to another video on chapters 5 through 9 after this, so please stay with me if you're lost. Chapter 4 is going to be all about the church, him going to church and having to wash when he doesn't want to. and entertaining himself with a beetle.